Hello everybody. So in this nice sunny morning, I found out that the Outcast Commander was nice enough to write the continuation of the two fics they had already written, the one related to the alternative Rako Hardin arc. And since I really like those fics and I was happy to read them, I am very interested in the sequel and I thought it would be nice if I were to read that one too. There will be a link to the other reading in the Tumblr post, so you will find it there too. This one is called The Box and is the continuation to the other two fics that Outcast Commander wrote, which are only temporary and this looks like fun. Then they can be found in the writing tag of Outcast Commander Tumblr. Sorry. So this is The Box. Sereno was so lovely at this time of the year, at least from an aesthetics point of view. Dagorlad knew this was probably the most dangerous part of his mission, for if Doku figured him out and blew his cover, then things were going to get very bad, very fast. As it was, when they descended the ramp, it was Evil that was stopped, and not Dagorlad. Mentally shrugging, Dagorlad watched alongside Cat Bane as Evil was forced to give stuttering excuses to Count Dooku before they were allowed to join several other well-known hunters in the courtyard of Dooku's palace. Sorry. Dagorlad recognized several, but respected only a few, nodding cordially in Embo's direction while coldly ignoring Sixtat and Jacoli. He knew the hunting tallies and he knew reputations. Dooku really had to be scraping the bottom of the barrel if he'd invited those two. Hearing a blaster shot, Dagorlad turned to find Bane picking up a large, wide-brimmed hat off the corpse of an Ithorian hunter. Really? We've been here less than an hour and already you're killing people? Bane set the hat on his head at a jaunty angle and shrugged. What? It's a nice hat. All the hunters looked away from the scene as Dooku approached. The Count, clearly a fan of theater and dramatics, with the way he swooped in, cape billowing out behind him whilst flanked by his guards. Welcome to Sereno. You have been selected to partake in this little contest because you are some of the best bounty hunters in the galaxy. Dooku looked around at the assembled throng of hunters. Their own, known simply as the Exterminator. Jacoli, you are known for never bringing anyone back alive. Dagorlad could almost taste the sneer in Dooku's words as he looked at the eager Rodian before the Count continued. Twazi, your acrobatics once earned the high praise of Chancellor Valorum. Kira Swan, three-time winner of the Obsidian Sphere. Onka, you and your brother were a formidable team. This challenge may be all the more difficult for you alone. Looking over at the cooling corpse of Onka's brother, Dagorlad couldn't help but agree with the Count. It was hard to work solo if one was used to working as part of a team. Dooku cleared his throat and continued like nothing was wrong. Sinrich, inventor of the holographic disguise matrix. Embo, your bounty tallies were second to only one last season. Cad Bane, who needs no introduction. Oh, Dagorlad could just feel the smugness radiating off Bane at that. The Duros was good and he knew it, but he didn't need to rub it in for Manda's sake. Rhys Fett, the infamous shadow of Mandalore. Sixtat, the Outlands Butcher. Mantu, your people were once a peaceful race. How far they have fallen. Dooku shook his head in mock sympathy before looking around at the assembled hunters. Together, you will enter what we call the box. Not all of you are expected to survive, but for those of you who do, the rewards will be far sweeter. Together, we shall bring the Republic to its pitiful knees. Dooku was clearly winding himself up for some great speech. Dagorlad could see it. but Raj spoiled the whole thing by interrupting and going off about how he designed the boxes as hazard simulator. When they were told to surrender their weaponry, Dagorlad raised an eyebrow but complied, and set the blasters and knives he was carrying onto the cart. He neglected to do anything about his countless vibroblades throw, and seeing as no one was going to say anything, he wasn't going to do anything. Dagorlad was not impressed by the blank white interior of the box, nor was he impressed by all of Laval's posturing on the windscreen walls. And really, the Oxys, talk about cliché. Trusting his helmet seals, Dagorlad brutally kicked Onka off one of the rising pillars and scrambled on, frowning when the pillars stopped rising and the gas level also stayed the same. Well, that wasn't so bad. Throwing an heavy glare at his sixth stat, Dagorlad coldly sneered at the idiot. You just had to say that, didn't you, Dikut? Just had to tempt fate. Well, if it's cold, it's not that sanguine, maybe. You just had to say that, didn't you, Dikut? Just had to tempt fate. And tempted it was, of course. Strazi's pillar rose until she had to jump off, her face being crushed. Dagorlad cursed as his own pillar started to rise and looked around. Seeing Jacoli on a still unmoving pillar, he jumped from his own to the audience and grinned at the other big startled cry. Sorry, I'm in this to win. He shoved the Rodian off the pillar so he could get a better stance, ignoring Jacoli's desperate pleas for mercy and barely batting an eye when the Rodian fell into the Dioxys cloud. Nice. I approve. I mean, it's nasty and everything, but they are bounty hunters, and if he hadn't done it, someone else would have, so whatever. Looking around, he frowned thoughtfully. There had to be a way out of this room, and it clearly wasn't in the ceiling. The floor. The panel that opened to release the gas. The axis was a strange one, dense, but not so dense that it practically hugged the ground. Inhaling and hoping the helmet filters could withstand the gas, Dagorlad jumped off his pillar and started looking around for the hole in the floor. Stepping over Jacoli's carcass, he almost fell down the open hatch and swore loudly, "Fucking Haran!" Shaking his head and kicking the dead Rodian for good measure, Dagorlad slid down the hatch and started to poke around, flinching in surprise when a tunnel opened. Rolling his eyes, he looked back up at the cloud of dioxys above his head. "The hole in the floor where the gas came out. It's clear, and there's a tunnel that probably leads to the next room down here." He didn't bother to wait, crawling down the horribly narrow and cramped tunnel before escaping it into another room. Well, he is more generous than I am. I wouldn't have given them a warning at all. They could have figured it out on their own or died. I mean, Cad Bane at least is good enough to survive. At least this one had a color scheme. The black, red and ominous glowing yellow was a lot less stark and painful on the eyes. He could have done without the giant image of Eval's face though. Yeah, guy is ugly. Well, only one casualty in the first round. I can assure you, that won't be the case here. Glowing, stabbing things mounted on retractable pillar that just randomly showed up and then retracted again. Of all the stupid, Dagorlad barely dodged one before it spit the hunter that had been hiding behind him. Looking over at Sinrich's impaled corpse, Dagorlad shrugged and dodged another pillar before taking a closer look at them. The more he watched them, the more he realized that there was a certain pattern to the way they appeared and retracted, leading up to an exit in the ceiling. Timing his jumps, Dagorlad started to climb up the pillars, effectively showing the other hunters how to escape the trap, even as two more hunters fell to the blades. The Mandalorian gave a pragmatic shrug and continued to make his way out of the trap, refusing to let the deaths bother him. Good man. They all knew what they were getting into. They knew they risked death. And while technically he was a Jedi, he was a Mandalorian first. He shed no tears for the deaths of other hunters. Again, if they aren't smart enough Even when given the way out, fuck them. I really do like him as a character. You're a Parwan, you inject the serum. Dagorlad folded his arms and glowered at Daron while the ray shields hummed around them and drew even closer. They'd already claimed Mantu, leaving a grand total of 6 hunters remaining. Bane looked over at Dagorlad and frowned, shoving the Mandalorian. Who put you in charge, Fett? The common sense that tells me that our Parwan friend here has a 50-50 chance of not dying because of the serum. That's better than our chances, cause it will kill us. Ergo the Parwan takes the serum and gets us out of this mess. Dagorlad roughly shoved Bane back, towering over the lanky Duros until Bane snarled them back down. Ooh. Looking over at the round, Dagorlad let out a frustrated growl. Hurry up! The ray shields were almost literally touching his shabs before Daron managed to deactivate them, and Dagorlad was not happy about how close the call had been. All the same, they weren't dead, so that was tolerable. Shoving past the Parwan, he let out a dark laugh. Good thing I've killed Parwans before, otherwise we'd have all been fried. A sniper test. A bloody sniper test. Only if you fail this one you got flesh fried whole. Dagorlad was casually down at the flames that had just claimed at Sixtat before looking over at Bane. You wanna try next, or should I? The rather blunt shove towards the rifle answered Dagorlad's question, and he rolled his eyes, taking the rifle and checking it before setting it to his shoulder. Looking around, he let out an annoyed noise. If you're going to give us a new rifle every time someone dies, at least give us one with full charges. The targets weren't that difficult to chase and shoot. What was annoying was Eval's intervention. Fett, your interferences have gone on too long. Hey, I'm just trying to win this stupid concert of yours. Don't blame me if you can put together a decent challenge. Dagorlad rolled his eyes at Eval's petulant behavior. Honestly, what was the being expecting? Everyone to die and leave him to complete whatever job it was they were being tested for alone? Yes, basically. Well, Fett, consider your contest lost. Dagorlad yelped as the platform literally dropped out from underneath him, sending him on a one-way course with the flames below. He didn't expect the grappling cord that wrapped itself around his wrist, almost pulling his arm out of its socket when he abruptly stopped. Looking up at Bane, Dagorlad was both surprised and grateful that the Duros had saved his life. Eval wasn't. Fuck him. How dare you defy Morallo, Eval? If you wanna kill him, do it like a man. Dagorlad raised an eyebrow at Bane's sneering words, but the Duros have saved him from being flambéed. He wasn't going to complain. A platform rose up to provide him with a support base, allowing Dagorlad to free himself from Bane's grappling cord before being lowered to the now flame-free ground. Watching as Eval was shoved into the makeshift arena by Dooku, Dagorlad's sharp eyes watched the twisted being. Eval had designed the box, and he'd seen the being use a counter-gauntlet earlier. That had to go. In fact, that was the first thing he was going to get rid of. Once he wasn't being used for target practice by the droid Eval had summoned. Kicking one into the wall and punching one into the flames, Dagorlad grabbed the third and angrily threw it at Eval to distract him. With the other hunter trying to get the droid out of his face, Dagorlad ran forward and slammed shoulder first into Eval, sending the two of them tumbling. Eval got a good kick in before Dagorlad was on him again, smashing the being's control gauntlet against the ground until it fritzed and died on him. That got an enraged snarl from Eval, who swiped at Dagorlad's head, damaging one of the seals on his helmet and cracking the visor. Oh, fuck you. Oh, come on! Dagorlad rolled away, yanking his helmet off and throwing it aside before having to scramble away from a kick that Eval had aimed at him. Getting back on his feet, Dagorlad deployed the vibroblades in his gauntlets and went on the offensive, scoring a few deep slashes in Evil's arms. Keeping himself out of the other hunter's reach, Dagorlad practically danced circles around Evil, darting in to deliver vicious punches and slashes before retreating again. The cuts weren't life-threatening, his vibroblades weren't long enough for that, but the wounds he delivered with them were enough to send Ival into a mindless rage. Narrowly dodging a wild swipe that could have ripped his throat out, Dagorlad grabbed Evil's arms and twisted it viciously, pulling at the same time until he heard a crack, followed by a pain shriek. Releasing Evil's useless arm, Dagorlad let the shrieking being come to him before brutally repeating his earlier attack on Evil's other arm, rendering Eval almost defenseless. Finish him off then, fat. Dagorlad looked up. Finish him off then, fat. Dagorlad looked up at the giant image of Dooku before looking back at Ival with cold eyes. Look like you ain't as valuable as you like to think you are, Ival. But this whole idea was mine. You can't do it without me. Dagorlad shrugged, looking from Ival to Dooku, to the bloodied blades on his gauntlets with cold, golden eyes. Obviously not. Too bad. For you. Ah, and that's how it ends. Fuck, there was another fic before this called Hunted by Family. Ah! Fuck. Okay, next one is gonna be Hunted by the Family, which actually takes place before this one, okay? Because I want to read that too. And fuck.